Gerald G. Baura from Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. In this video, I will share to you my reflection about the Nolimi Tangere and El Filibusterismo. So, first, Nolimi Tangere. So, chapter 1 and chapter 2. So, in chapter 1, the title is the gathering. So, Rizal introducing the characters and sets the stage of the story. This chapter portrays a social gathering at home of Captain Tiago, a wealthy Filipino businessman, where different members of society covered. Through the interaction among the characters, Rizal exposed the superficiality and pretensions of elite class, their disconnection from the realities of their lower classes, and their submission to Spanish authority, loss of empathy and human interaction. Chapter 1 of Nolimi Tangere introducing us the character of son of Juan Crisostomo Ibarra in his childhood friend, Elias. Their reunion after several years of separation served as a reminder of the loss of empathy and human interaction in our society. So as individuals become exposed in their own pursuit, then on neglect the value of personal relationship, leading to a disconnect between people, detachment from one another, experiences and emotions, creates a void that impedes genuine connection from forming. Social and classes division. Another significant aspect of chapter in portrayal of social and class division. Ibarra, a wealthy Filipino returning from his studies abroad, is initially met with suspicion and envy from his fellow countrymen. The stark contrast between the privileged and the marginalized highlights the existing gap in our society, ending genuine connection based on social standing, wealth, or education often prevent individuals from truly understanding and empathizing with those from different backgrounds, leading to a fragmented social fabric. Corruption, abuse of power. Nolimi Tangere opening chapter also touches upon the prevalent issue of corruption and abuse of power. The introductions, the corrupt Spanish priors under mistreatment of the locals demonstrates the destructive impact such as behavior can have on societal connection. The abuse of the power widens the gap between the upper officers and officers, eroding trust and fostering resentment. When those in position of authority exploit their power of personal gain, it fractures the society necessary for thriving and connected society. Miscommunication and lack of transparency are further themes highlighted in the chapter. The conversation between Ibarra and his friend Elias underscores the struggles faced by individuals when trying to communicate their concern of ideas effectively. Inability to express oneself authentically can lead to misunderstanding, mistrust, and strained relationship. In our contemporary society, where miscommunication and misinformation are rampant and crucial to cultivate open dialogue and transparent communication to bridge the gaps and foster genuine connection. So in the chapter 2 in Nolimi Tangere, the title is Crisostomo Ibarra. So in this chapter introduced the novel's protagonist Crisostomo Ibarra, a young Filipino educated in Europe. It explores Ibarra return to the Philippines and his aspiration to bring progress and reform this hometown. This chapter highlights the disconnection between the educated Filipino elite, like Ibarra, who have been exposed to European ideas of liberty, equality, and progress, and the opposite reality of the colonial Philippines. The early chapter of Nolimi Tangere illustrate the disconnect between different social classes, the superficiality of elite, and the stark contrast between the aspiration of educated Filipino and the oppressive and colonial system. This issue of disconnection lay the foundation for the broader themes of novel such as social inequality, corruption, religious, and the struggle for national identity and liberation. So in my conclusion, it's important to note that different analysis of specific chapter would require a detailed examination of text which cannot provide. So I would recommend reading the novel itself, consulting literacy analysis guides or academic results for a more comprehensive understanding of the connection issue effective in chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Nolimi Tangere. So don't be judgmental of others like Padre Damaso, who accused Filipino of being careless, ignorant, lazy, and uneducated, so they deserve to be called Indians. So let's proceed to the El Filibusterismo in Dr. Jose Rizal in the chapter 1 and 2 in my reflection. So chapter 1 title is on the aqueduct. So introducing us to the river streamers in chapter 1, journeying to the Victorial town of San Jingo. This chapter serves as a microcosm of the broader Philippine society, with its diverse passenger representing different social classes and background. So the interaction and dynamics between these characters shed light on the prevailing social issue of the time. So one of the significant issues lighted in chapter 1 is social equality. Rizal portrays the stark contrast between the privileged Spanish elite and the marginalized native population. The Spanish passenger on the steamer and enjoy luxuries treat the natives with a condescension and insert their dominance. So the division reflects the wider societal where the Spanish ruling class holds power and exploit and the indigenous Filipino. Through this portrayal, Rizal underscored the unequal treatment and exploitation enjoyed by the Filipino people under the Spanish colonial rule. Furthermore, chapter 1 touches upon the issue of limited educational opportunities for Filipino, Rizal introducing the character of Isagani, a young student of an intellectual who laments the restriction placed on Filipino education by the Spanish authority. Isagani's frustration represents the aspiration of the Filipino youth for better educational prospect and intellectual growth. Rizal uses the Isagani character to highlight an oppressive measure implemented by the Spanish government to control and limit the intellectual development of Filipinos perpetuating the subjugation. So let's move to chapter 2 in El Filibusterismo of Jose Rizal. So the title is The Storm. The Rizal explores the theme of corruption within the Spanish colonial government. So the chapter metaphorically portrays a violent storm as a reflection of a turbulent state of society, characterized by pervasive corruption and abuse of power. So in chapter 2, exposes the rampant corruption that exacerbates the suffering of the Filipino people. Rizal vividly depicts instances of bribery, manipulation, and misuse of authority by government officials. This depiction aims to unveil the dark underbelly of the Spanish colonial regime, where those in power prioritize personal gain over the welfare of the people they are supposed to serve. So the connection between those two chapters lies in their shared portrayal of the social issues prevalent Filipino society during the Spanish colonial era. Both chapters address social inequality, highlighting the disparities between the ruling class and the marginalized population. Additionally, this shed light on the limited educational opportunities for Filipino and the pervasive corruption within the colonial government. Through these narrative elements result in endeavors to awaken its readers to realities of the society and encourage them to question the oppressive Spanish role by highlighting this social issue. He aims to ignite a sense of awareness and resistance among his audience, urging them to seek change and fight for justice. So the body of El Purvisdeme continues to delve into this issue and explores further complexities of the story unfolds. So, the conclusion of this is in chapter 1 highlights the stark contrast between the Spanish elite and marginalized population, emphasizes social equality and exploitation during the Filipino.
I was kissing you with my eyes open.